Right. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had an amazing weekend. So we're about 16 days into the New Year's resolutions, and everybody jumped to whatever they wanted to do. And this is about the time, usually at day 14, about 40% of people fall off. And one of the questions that I get all the time is, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay so laser focused? And it could be weight loss. It could be any kind of goal. I'm losing my motivation. Then it's help, help, help. And how do you do it? And I have to stay passionate. If I don't evoke a feeling, because feelings change behaviors, right? So if I don't invoke a feeling, right, and I don't tie it to something important, then it won't stay with me. You can have a lot of thoughts in a day, right? But if it doesn't evoke a feeling, if it doesn't evoke an emotion change, right, then you can't change your perspective to then change your behavior, right? And that's the order it has to go in, right? So there are a lot of things you can do to change your feelings, right? To change your perspective, to create an emotion, right? So through the process of whatever you want to do to create emotion, then that emotion is the energy you need to change a behavior, okay? So when I wake up in the morning, my perspective is jacked, okay? It's negative. So I went through a series of things that then start to change how I feel, right? I change how I feel physically, it changes me emotionally. I'm a little bit broader, a little bit brighter. Then from that change, I have a perspective change. From that perspective change, then it's easier for me to make a good decision. So the two things that I've found best for this are my daily reach back in history, I like to call them, right? Dig up the past. People are going to say it's a bad idea. I daily dig up the past. We'll get into why. And then vision board. But I'm going to focus on the first one today because you do it daily. You don't always do vision boards daily, but you review your vision board probably daily. So dig up the past. People go, oh, don't do that. You don't want to dig up the past. You don't want to live there. And you're right, you don't want to live there. But you have to remember it. And you have to remember it on a daily basis. Okay? Every morning that I get up, right, I have to remember a point in time upon which gives me reference for who I can choose to be today. I could be the best version of myself, or I could be that version of myself. It does two things for me. One, it keeps my eye on the ball, right? But two, it gives me gratitude. Let me give you an example. So that picture is the thing that I look at. I've got an actual hard copy. And there's a couple other methods. You don't have to look at a photo, but a photo makes it easier because photos evoke emotion easier than other things. I don't care what your thing is, all right? That guy that you see there was a piece of shit. He was a liar. He wasn't a good friend. He mistreated women. He was doing hella drugs. It didn't have anything going for him. Was a strong piece of work. Again, just he didn't like himself, stuffing himself full of drugs and partying as much as he could, trying to just not remember that he was being a waste of space. So that guy, right? Just because I'm different today and people will tell you, oh, forget, move on with your life and all that. And yes, you are supposed to move on with your life, but you're never supposed to forget. That guy's still in me, right? And every morning I wake up, I have a choice. I can work towards a better version of me, right? That is the processes I put in place. Or I can reject those processes. And by rejecting those processes, I technically take a step back. And when I take a step back, I'm taking a step back closer to that. And that's unacceptable for me, for this guy. And that reminds me, and that gives me the energy. Plus, it gives me the gratitude. My life is 100 times better than that guy's life, right? And now I get to think of all the good things that are going on with my life today, and it kind of makes all my problems seem pretty small, much smaller than what that guy was going through. And so all of that together immediately changes my perspective and puts me on point today. All the drama we think we got going on and all the reasons and the prosecution making its case for why you should quit and why you can't and why this isn't going to work. It never works. All of your nevers, the devil in your head telling you lies. It's all of that. And all of that is that old version of you that we're not going to deal with anymore. And by the time you get through that mental exercise, hopefully you've changed how you feel, right? Now, if you can't do this, then the first thing you do is something that makes you physically feel better. Go on a walk, breathing routine, stretch. If you physically make yourself feel better, you will feel better. Then I use a mental exercise like the one I just showed you. There are others out there. And now when I'm done with that, guess what? eating what I'm supposed to eat or doing what I'm supposed to do ain't much of a fucking problem, because I ain't going back to that motherfucker. And I'm sure as hell gonna try to be a better person today, or be the best version of myself that I can be today, because I've got the juice, I've got the emotion, right? That's what you need, right, to get through it. And then all of a sudden you'll string so many days together that person gets so far in your rear view mirror that you won't ever go back, because you'll be so motivated by the gifts that you've got now, the things that have come to you because you kept going. So for anybody that's struggling out there, believe me, I know people are going to tell you that care about you need to stop identifying with that person, that you need to forget, move on. And many of that's true. And if we're in regards to traumas, there are periods of healing and trauma that you do probably need to set it all aside. But I'm talking in general, finding the worst version of you, using that as your focal point to remember, not to live in, not to stay in, okay? Not to be married to, and not to hinder you, right? But it's the focal point, it's the jump off point, because it's still in you. And if you want to forget, that's the person that's going to come back, which is why you continue to fail at something. You have to use that as your focal point. So I use that jump back in the past every morning to get me oriented about my potential and my gratitude for the day. And that's what keeps me on track, and consistency, whether I fall short some days or not, that general consistency over time is what gets the victory. I hope this helps.